Good morning, welcome to Driver Talks and Anthony. Today we're going to have a insightful conversation. For those that are new to the channel, we make mental health conversations and content that's going to be beneficial to your personal development and to your well-being. However, today's conversation we're going to be talking about growth can be quiet and still powerful, right? So I really want us to take into consideration that building consistency without burning out, right? So I don't want you to be tore from the floor up, right? Exhausted. And I realized, and I was telling people too, is that when you're burned out, right, it could take time to find yourself again. It could take you time to get back to the get back. It could take you time to recover, right? So I really want us to take in consideration and have this awareness and proactively, have these conversations, because we got to be able to maintain and keep ourselves at a neutral state, right? So burnout isn't a discipline issue. It's an overload signal, right? So you got to know when enough's enough. Right, so if consistency keeps leading to burnout, the problem isn't you, it's how consistency is being defined, right? So what is our patterns? Why are we keep going the extra mile? Why are we taking on more responsibility, right? What's on our plate? Isn't it enough, right? We got to ask ourselves these questions, right? So I want us to disrupt the hustle culture and really open up space for a new approach, perhaps, right? So we got to be able to look into a new technique or a new way, a new skill. Right? How can we make a better change? How can we make a better difference in regards to our situation? Because our health matters, our mental health matters as well. Right, so I really want to normalize, reducing the shame, because as you know, mental health has a stigma. We already know what's up, right? So many people equate the consistency to pushing every day, loudly and visibly, right? And they ignore their mental health, their exhaustion, and even their nervous system capacity. And this is something that's keeping your body whole. This is what's keeping your body operating. This is what's keeping your body in safety mode, right? So burnout often comes from overexposure and overextension, not the lack of effort, right? So most of us are motivated. Most of us want to do what we want to do. Most of us want to live with purpose and, and add value and, do what we have to do when we're in these different rooms or these different environments, right? But we also got to take into consideration that when we're overextending our hand, we're just overdoing it, right? We're going to have some repercussions for it. Right, so I really want us to release the shame or release the peer pressure to overperform, right? In regards to making this a public thing, because this is something that we all could benefit from. We all need to highlight this, because we got to take care of ourselves out here. Pulling in some psychoeducation, which is, that education, that knowledge, and also to therapeutic skills as well to stay grounded, right? Is, consistency is about the patterns, not the intensity or the visibility, right? The nervous system needs us to recover. As mentioned, the nervous system is that safety net, right? To sustain the effort, right? So if you want to be able to make that money, you want to be able to make the impact, you want to be able to gain that knowledge, etc., do what you got to do out here, right? You got to be able to have a balance to this, right? So performing progress can drain more energy than work itself, right? Best believe it may take you 10 times more to recover. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean, right? It could take you more time to recover if you wasn't, if perhaps you wasn't in a situation where you didn't got to be tore from the floor, you didn't have to burn out, right? So I really want to take that in consideration. Pushing through exhaustion trains, avoidance, not resilience. I'll say it again, pushing through exhaustion trains avoidance, not resilience. So we got to know when enough's enough. We got to have that balance. We got to have boundaries, right? And we got to know what's sustainable for us, right? So sustainable consistency respects our energy and privacy, not just our goals. So we're trying to be able to level up. We're trying to be able to improve. We're trying to be able to do all these things, right? And take care of ourselves. But we got to know what's sustainable, what's enough for us. Another practical reframe I really want to take into consideration is, the quiet aspect, right? What we're talking about is growth can be quiet and still powerful, right? So we can still do what we have to do. We can still get where we need to be. But I really want us to take into consideration of lower the minimum, not the standard. You don't need to announce your plans to make them real, right? So I really want to push for this as well, because as you're navigating through school, even for me, right? As you're navigating through things, you don't got to tell everybody your business, right? We also got to take into consideration too, on a real note, right? I don't know what side of the country you are, what side of the world that you are in, but there's a lot of negativity out here. I got to be really transparent, right? So not everybody's going to be happy for you. Family included, strangers out there too, people gonna hate, right? So people have their own things that they got going on, and we all know about when it comes to projecting. Misery likes what? Company. So I really want to take in consideration for your mental health, for your sanity, for your sake, for your energy, for you to get to where you got to be and grow, etc., is that you don't got to tell everybody your plans. That's why it's important for you to have a trusted one, right? Or even a support system, right? Therapists, confidential conversations, right? So you work on your growth with these proactive people that want to see you get where you need to be, right? So not everybody's going to be able to hear to salute you for your goals. So I really want to push for that, right? So, if possible, shush mode, keep it to yourself. right? You gotta know, you don't gotta announce it, right? So execute quietly with support, not scrutiny, right? So really, like I said, I'm pushing for that support because if you need it, right, we all need it at some point in time. Don't hesitate. Really advocate for yourself, right? So consistency can be 5 minutes, one step, or aligned choices, right? So do things that are more purposeful for you, that makes sense and that is sustainable for you. Like I said, we do not want to burn out. So let's take into consideration some micro actions, right? So immediate application. What can we really do today to make the difference, right? So a question off the rip is ask, what is the smallest version of this I can sustain without explaining it to anyone? I want you to choose an action that won't exhaust you. I want you to only share your goals or what you got going on with people that are there to support you and support your nervous system, because that is that safety. So whatever makes you feel safe, whatever makes you feel comfortable, whatever makes sense to you, whatever's conducive for you, right? Whatever is beneficial to you, make those proactive decisions. However, like I said, you don't got to tell everybody, you heard? So, think, stop, reflect before you make a decision, before you take on more responsibility. Really look at yourself, listen to yourself, and once again, burnout isn't a failure, it's feedback, right? So we want to be able to listen to these things, and consistency should not support just your well-being, but it shouldn't take a cost, right? It should not take a cost out of, taking away, that burnout or whatever, having you tore from the floor, right? So we got to be able to take in consideration that we got to be in tune with ourselves, we got to listen to ourselves, we got to be self-aware, right? Growth can happen when we are in fresh mode, right? And seek that proactive support. Thank you for thriving with me. If I'm beneficial, give a thumbs up, share possible, take it easy.